Yeah, how about the handle this? How you London?
Yeah, he usually turns us on, so y'all need to do that. We're on air. We're ready, Adam.
Good evening. Welcome everyone. I'm Adam Michael Berger. First thing I'd like to do is call to order our first part of our meeting tonight, the budget workshop. Just want to get an affirmation over the agenda.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So first thing, I'll call up Ms. Jennifer Fleming to discuss our general budget discussion for fiscal year 26-27.
So welcome. Tonight, I just want to take a few minutes and talk about our upcoming budget for the 26-27 school year. We have had a lot of challenges this school year, as we're all aware. And so just kind of wanted to give y'all a brief overview of our budget and some projections that we've gotten so far from the state and the county, and get your input on some things, or just make you aware of some things. So, as you know, the district, we've had some. As you know, we've had a little bit of financial challenges with our industries here in our area. We've had several industries that have closed. We also have combined that with our student enrollment has been declining over the last several years. That is not just here in our district, that's a statewide problem that we've noticed, and got some feedback from other districts. They are seeing decreased student enrollment numbers also. It has had a direct impact on our funding. We've worked hard over the past several years to cut wherever we could cut and maintain still good quality services to our students and provided by our teachers and faculty. Over the past 2 years, we've taken several difficult tasks and steps to make sure that we could continue in the way that we should. Last year, we absorbed several positions into our budget. This upcoming fiscal year, we are looking to absorb 6 full-time equivalent positions in our general fund budget. We have not built those positions back into the budget for next year, so that's 6 FTEs we're losing across the district. In addition, federal funding has decreased, which that means that our general fund is having to pick up the slack from our federal programs that are losing money. So we're having more out of our general fund having to kick in and supplement our federal programs. We began this current fiscal year with $5.4 million in our fund balance, with the anticipation of transferring $1.4 million out of our fund balance to offset our budget for this current fiscal year, 25-26. We hope that we will not need to transfer the entire $1.4 million. We won't know that until the end of the fiscal year when we see all of our expenditures for this year, but we are anticipating that we will come in under the $1.4 million that we had projected. However, if we are at the $1.4 million that we need to transfer, that'll put us starting next fiscal year with approximately $4 million in our fund balance next fiscal year. The current revenue projections that we have received so far from the state are based off our 45-day count. And I believe Dr. Taylor has provided with you guys a student enrollment sheet. We know that our enrollment numbers have decreased based off our 135-day count, as you see on the chart. But for the projections that I have tonight, it is based off the 45-day count. So please keep in mind that those numbers are going to decrease since our student enrollment has decreased since our 45-day count. The state has not provided us any updated projections yet, and they probably will not do that until after the state budget passes. Greenwood County is also in reassessment period this year. So every 5 years, all the property in Greenwood County is looked at and reassessed. We do not know what implications of that will be for us as far as tax revenue on personal property. However, we are hopeful that that will impact us in a positive way. The last reassessment period, it did not give positive effect to our district. Our millage dollars actually went down. So we are hoping this reassessment period, Stephanie Dorn with the county has assured us that they have worked very hard, especially along the lake property, to look at those values. Now, there is a hold harmless for property owners that it cannot increase more than 15%. So, but any new properties that are built, that's all fair game in the reassessment period. So, Greenwood, like I said, I'm meeting with the Department of Revenue on Thursday to go through a reassessment workshop. Hopefully we'll have maybe a little better understanding of how that might impact us, but we won't know the full impacts of that until after the reassessment is complete, which will probably be mid-October, after the appeal process, but we are looking at that. One of the key things that we need to make some decisions on is our salary increases. As you know, salary makes up the chunk of our budget each year. If we are going to provide the proposed $2,000 increase to every sale on every salary schedule and give employees the step increase for next year, then I'm projecting us to have a deficit of approximately $1.3 million for next year. Again, that is based on the current projection numbers that we've gotten from the state and the county. I've looked at our salary schedules. I provided you a copy of our current 25-26 salary schedules that we have in place. And I've also provided you with a copy of the state recommended requirement, what they are proposing as a state minimum for next year, for 26-27. Looking at those schedules, on our salary schedule, the ones that are highlighted in yellow, those are steps on our current scale that are already at or above the state required minimum salary. So, with that being said, that's the majority of our salary schedule is already at or above what the state is going to be requiring for next fiscal year. If we adjust only the steps necessary to meet the state minimum requirements, while still providing a step increase to all of our employees, that could save us $300,000 next year. But that would be only changing the sales that are not highlighted on our current salary schedule. Many districts have made the difficult decision to do this in previous years, and as we've been talking in our WEPEC groups, many more districts are having to consider that because of funding. If they are already at the minimum state required salary schedule, they are not making adjustments to their salary schedules. In years past, we have tried to increase our salary schedules each year based on what the state recommends, and we've done a great job at that. However, looking at it this year, we just need to consider all of our options. Also, next year, CTE funds will be changing a little bit. The state has agreed to allow us to use some of our CTE funds to fund salaries and benefits. That has not previously been an option. So next year, the state has projected that we will receive approximately $250,000 in CTE money next year. We could move a portion of that to cover salaries and benefits for 2 of our teachers. So that could potentially save us another $200,000 that we could move out of CTE funds into our general fund. Let's see what else. Tajin, as we all know, we thought that they were gonna save the day and come in next year and get us out of this bind. And as we've learned, that's not gonna be the case, more than likely. Did receive some numbers from the county. Again, they are still in negotiations with them as far as what they are gonna be required to pay. They can't give us definite numbers, but we are thinking that we may receive around $500,000 from Tajin for next year. So that, of course, would come into play and help us for next year. I'm reluctant to budget that whole $500,000 because the county cannot guarantee us that they're gonna make them responsible for all of those funds. So that's gonna be a little hard to deal with. The last thing, as you know, we have currently 15 working retirees that are wishing to return to work next year. We do have a proviso that the state has provided that we are willing or able to negotiate retiree salaries. That is something, again, that some districts do, and it is again becoming more common for districts to negotiate the salaries of their retirees. Just throwing some ideas out, if we were to reduce our retirees on the teacher salary scale that meets the state minimum requirement to step 20 on the scale, so instead of them currently being at step 33, where most of them are now, if we were to negotiate and put them on step 20 on the scale, that would give us a savings of around $100,000. If we were to move them to step 10 on the scale, we would see a savings of about $250,000. So, I know none of these are easy decisions, and our goal is always to remain fiscally responsible while trying to support our employees and our students. That's our common goal here. But at this time, we kind of need to look at things and see how we would like to move forward in planning for next year's budget.
So I guess our options, you know, obviously we can have some discussion, but if we need to get into deep discussion, I suggest that we do a budget workshop at some point in the near future, that we could openly discuss some things and decide structure and decide opportunity. But that's just kind of my initial thoughts.
Yes, and this is just informational purposes to kind of get the ball rolling. I know we will need to take the first reading of our budget to our board meeting in May. So typically we have first reading in May and second reading in June to get our budget passed.
Where does our fund balance need to stay to be in line with?
We need to maintain at least 2 months worth of operating expenses in our fund balance. So that's gonna be about 2.5 million is what we really need to stay in our fund balance. And that's a state requirement.
Yeah, so when this school year starts, we'll be at about 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I think our concern is, as you look beyond this year, the 26, 27, we thought before with Tajin, we thought we're gonna see like really an opening up of our resources and some recovery there, especially losing Fuji and then Monsanto. But we don't have that now. And so we don't know what's coming next from the standpoint of what industry we have, but we've been hit really hard because we never dreamed Tajin would pause and they weren't on track. You know, we're not inside the facility, but they were not on track to be fully operational at this point in time. And they're holding to see if they can retool, rework what they have to use it in another way. But it does not sound like that's gonna happen in a year or two, maybe 3, if they can find that product or that person to purchase what they have already. So that's what worries me. Today we're okay for next year, but then what happens? And you know, we always have the millage. We're gonna wait this year to see what the reassessment is and how much that helps, but we can always do that and go back. Is it a rollback for 3 years?
There's a
We
3-year
talked
rollback
about,
period,
I think Andrew
yes.
talked about that last year, so that's something we would have in the future, but that's what concerns me. It's just what happens next.
But even the millage increase wasn't a substantial amount of money, if I
No.
recollect. I mean, it was,
It would not be a
yeah, that's what I'm
substantial
saying, it
amount.
wouldn't make a
Right.
huge, well, every little bit helps, I know, but.
But nothing to, like 1.3, no.
And as you all know, we were at one point one of the richest districts in the state. You know, in the late 70s, maybe early 80s, and we had Monsanto and we had several big industries, and they were very supportive. And we've had significant change, and so we have to prepare for the future don't count on things that happen. There are rumors of other things happening, but we don't go on rumors, we go
That's
on what
right.
we know. And, we just wanna make sure that everyone's aware of the changes in our enrollment, and that's affecting us too. So I think 96 is a little bit maybe stagnant almost right now, and opportunities to grow, I think, are good. Because we need students and we need support of our town, and this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest thing in 96 right now is our school. So, but yes, it's some very serious things to consider, and the impact that it has for all of us and all of our children and our community is huge. But,
I think we need to go ahead and see if we can't set a date for a more in-depth meeting.
Yeah.
When you start talking about cutting salaries and cutting positions, it's gonna take more than a 30-minute meeting for sure
Yeah.
to discuss it, so.
so tonight we don't officially have to vote on anything.
No,
We just need to be made aware of our concerns. And then, we'll plan to schedule a budget workshop in the very near future. And, we'll have some very frank and open discussion about how we continue to be great and how we continue to retain the right staff, and, you know, how we're gonna hopefully, see what we can do with our students, you know, as far as our numbers. If we continue to shrink, then there are concerns.
Big
So-
concerns.
When you lose that amount of industry, you know there's parents and kids that have gone and moved somewhere else. We haven't actually tracked where our kids are. Miss Madden did a real good job of tracking. And to explain where they're going, one of the things is Greenwood 50 is now excellent schools, where about 5 years ago, they had gone down to the point of being really struggling school and school district, and so people are aware of that. But to me, and they're going all different directions, but for me, the industry leaving us took families away and took the kids away. Even if they didn't live in 96, they were driving through here and we had them. So for whatever reason, they didn't leave us because we weren't excelling, because we would continuously improve what we're doing, and also, I mean, the report card, all the things academically that we've been doing have continued to thrive. And so we're still thriving, and we want to continue to thrive, but we have got to have the financial support that we need to do that.
So I hope our community will embrace our need and potential opportunities, as 96 is a great place and we want to keep it that way.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, but and you gotta have growth. I mean, if you don't have growth, you're gonna be like another town in one of our neighboring counties.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you have to have growth, and whether that's houses or industry or whatever, you need it all.
All of it.
Right.
Because if you don't have it, you dwindle away.
It's amazing that we've done so well for so long, considering we haven't had a new housing development or neighborhood here for 60-something years.
Probably, yeah.
You know, but we've lost Solutia or Montana and now Fuji. There's some small things, but we hope that the future will hold some things that'll maybe let us thrive like we have. Our students are doing great. We want to make sure they continue to do great.
That's right.
We need the team to do that, and if we can't pay the team, then we will suffer.
On the Tajin part, I know that number, of course, we can't budget because we don't have it. I mean, that's a given. But is that on the high side, or is there a minimum that the county thinks we may get?
that's about mid-range of
Okay.
what they are thinking we should get.
And she did not
500.
guarantee any of it.
Yeah, she did not guarantee.
So she didn't guarantee anything higher or lower?
She didn't guarantee anything at all. We are gonna go with 500 as a happy medium.
Can't put that in there.
No,
That
sure.
also does not include ES Foundry, because she could not give us,
And I was gonna ask about that, those industries there, no,
they are there, but they are not growing as they anticipated that they would. I do think we will see something from ES Foundries next year, but I just don't know what that will be.
And they struggle to get employees, and so we need people in our community that can work those jobs, skilled and unskilled, so.
And on the pay scale, all of our retirees fall in the highlighted stuff, I'm assuming,
Yes.
yeah. We got some decisions to make.
Yes, we do.
So as far as scheduling our financial workshop, how do we do that? Do we y'all decide some dates and email them out to us and then?
That's fine, y'all can communicate with me and we can set a date and time
It
and,
just has to have, what, 24-hour notice, right,
Right.
to be published?
Okay.
We'll take care of the agenda once you decide what to do.
Any other questions for Ms. Fleming or any other comments from our board or Dr. Taylor? Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Good job.
So it looks like we are complete with our initial budget workshop, and I guess do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Next.
Y'all need a break, or would you like to make a picture with this 2020 resolution
We can have a picture.
in the middle?
Yes.
Adjourn?
I'm good with the picture. Look from the camera.